The Infinity Castle isn't just a battlefield, it's a maze of despair, a twisting monument to darkness that has consumed generations. Walls shift, floors collapse, and reality bends as Muzan Kibutsuji summons his final fortress. It's here, in this endless night, that the Demon Slayer Corps face their most difficult trial. There is no sunlight to hope for, no chance of escape, only war. The Demon Slayer story has taken us from the quiet villages to roaring trains, from the fragile peace of Swordsmith village to the blood-soaked ground of battles with the upper moons. But everything has been leading to this moment. Infinity Castle is more than the stage for a fight. It is the gateway to the series' conclusion, the point where every lesson, every loss, and every scar finally converges. Here, Tanjiro and his comrades are pushed beyond anything they've ever faced before. Akaza, Doma, Kaigaku, the strongest of Muzan's children, wait within the shifting walls, each battle demanding more than strength alone. The choices made here will decide not only who survives, but whether humanity itself can stand against the eternal night Muzan has unleashed. Few battles in Demon Slayer carry the same emotional weight as the confrontation with Akaza, upper rank 3. Unlike many of Muzan's demons, Akaza is not driven by cruelty or sadism. His philosophy is rooted in strength. He believes only the powerful deserve to live, and he despises weakness above all else. Yet this worldview masks a tragic past, a man once human, scarred by loss, who could not bear his own failures. Inside the Infinity Castle, Tanjiro and Gyu are forced to clash with him in a fight that tests not only their bodies but their resolve. Gyu, already stoic and haunted by survivor's guilt, embodies the unyielding discipline of the Hashira. Tanjiro, on the other hand, fights with heart. His strength comes not from power alone, but from his compassion and the bonds he carries with him. Against Akaza's overwhelming martial arts and regeneration, these qualities become their only chance of survival. But the true brilliance of this fight lies in its philosophy. Akaza insists that strength is eternal, that bonds are fleeting. Tanjiro rejects this, showing that even the briefest human connection can outshine eternity. As the fight reaches its climax, Akaza is confronted not only by their blades but by his own memories. His lost humanity, the people he loved, and the weakness he once despised in himself. This duel transforms Akaza from a seemingly invincible monster into a tragic figure whose downfall is as heartbreaking as it is inevitable. If Akaza's fight represents tragedy through strength, Shinobu's battle with Doma embodies tragedy through sacrifice. As the upper rank 2 demon, Doma is one of the most horrifying figures in Demon Slayer. With a constant smile and an unsettling calmness, he treats human life as disposable, devouring innocence with the same indifference as breathing. But for Shinobi, this isn't just another mission. Doma is the monster who killed her sister years before. Every moment of her existence since then has been shaped by that loss. Shinobi knows she cannot match Doma's in raw strength. Unlike the other Hashira, her body was never built for brute combat, and she relies on poison techniques to level the battlefield. But this battle is less about victory and more about vengeance and legacy. Knowing her chances of survival are slim, Shinobi makes a calculated decision long before stepping into the Infinity Castle. She transforms her body into a weapon by saturating herself with lethal amounts of Westerian poison. She becomes the one tool capable of piercing Doma's overwhelming regeneration. The fight itself is chilling. Doma's eerie composure contrasts with Shinobi's fiery resolve. Every strike, every moment carries the weight of her sister's memory. And when Shinobi finally succumbs, it's not a failure. It is the execution of a plan. Her death is the spark that allows Kanao and Inosuke to finish the battle. What makes this moment unforgettable is the collision of ideals. Doma, who sees no meaning in human life, is undone by a human who gave everything for another. For much of Demon Slayer, Zenitsu is portrayed as a coward, a boy terrified of battle, seemingly surviving only by luck and unconscious instinct. But this arc strips away every excuse, every chance to hide. Here, Zenitsu must face not only an upper rank demon, but a figure tied to his own past, Kaigaku. his fellow disciple under the thunder-breathing master Jigoro Kuwajima. Kaigaku represents everything Zenitsu despises: arrogance and betrayal. Where Zenitsu trembles in fear but remained loyal to his values, Kaigaku abandoned humanity itself, embracing Muzan's curse for the promise of power. Their battle is not simply swords clashing, it is a philosophical collision. The student who never believed in himself versus the student who abandoned all belief in honor. At first, Kaigaku overwhelms Zenitsu with techniques stolen and twisted by the demonic power. But in this moment of despair, Zenitsu reveals the depth of his growth. He unveils the seventh form of thunder breathing, a technique he created himself, proof that his fear never defined him. Where Kaigaku sought shortcuts to strength, Zenitsu carved his own path through relentless training and unshakable will to protect others. This battle is one of the most cathartic in the Infinity Castle. For the first time, Zenitsu is not fighting for his sleep, nor relying on others to save him. He stands conscious, resolute, and unafraid, showing the true spirit of his master's teachings. When Kaigaku falls, it's not just the end of a demon. It is the vindication of Zenitsu's journey, from cowardice to courage, from self-doubt to self-made strength. The Infinity Castle is more than a backdrop. It is a character in its own right, a living fortress designed to disorient, separate, and crush its invaders. Muzan's domain is an endless shifting maze of stairs, walls, and voids that bend reality itself. For the Demon Slayer Corps, this means every step is a gamble, every corridor is a trap, and every battle fought in isolation. The castle forces each warrior to confront their trials alone, heightening the sense of inevitability and despair. Within this chaotic arena, other unforgettable moments unfold. Inosuke and Konao, though not given the spotlight of Hashira-level battles, prove their resilience against seemingly impossible odds. Their determination and teamwork carry forward the will of their fallen comrades, emphasizing the theme that every life, no matter how brief, contributes to the greater struggle. This arc also amplifies the emotional stakes of loss. Allies fall, leaving gaps that can never truly be filled. Each death is felt not just as an individual tragedy, but as a collective wound in the corps spirit. The maze ensures there is no time to grieve, only to press forward, compounding the weight of those still standing. Most strikingly, the arc mirrors Muzan's essence. Just as Muzan manipulates and twists human lives, the fortress itself manipulates space, denying its victims any sense of stability or control. In this way, the setting becomes an extension of the final villain, reminding us that the fight is not against one demon alone, but against the suffocating inevitability of despair. The result is an atmosphere where victory feels impossible. What makes this arc more than a spectacle of battles is the depth of its themes. At its core, this arc is about sacrifice, legacy, and the fragility of humanity in the face of eternity. Every fight is framed not simply as a clash of swords, but as a philosophical duel. Akaza embodies strength without compassion. Doma represents emptiness disguised as serenity, and Kaigaku personifies betrayal in pursuit of power. Against them stand slayers who fight not for themselves, but for those who came before and those who might yet live. The theme of sacrifice runs like blood through the castle corridors. Shinobi's death is not only a death but a calculated offering. Her body turned into a weapon that brings justice. Zenitsu's confrontation proves that courage is not only the absence of fear, but the choice to act despite it. Even the castle itself enforces these ideas. Its collapsing walls mirror the fragility of human life. Fragile yet meaningful because it ends. From a cinematic perspective, Ufotable elevates the arc beyond typical shonen finales. The shifting geometry of the castle is animated like a living nightmare, constantly reminding us that the environment is just as hostile as the enemy. Lighting plays a crucial role. Bright, piercing whites contrast with suffocating shadows, reflecting the thin lines between survival and annihilation. Silence, too, becomes a weapon. Moments of stillness before devastating attacks heighten the tension, making each strike land with crushing weight. In choosing to adapt this arc as a trilogy of films rather than a season, Ufotable emphasizes scale. The fights feel grand, with choreography that rivals cinema's most iconic action sequences. Every clash is staged like a final performance, fitting for a story where so many characters meet their end. The Infinity Castle is therefore not only the darkest chapter of Demon Slayer, but also its most ambitious, where art, philosophy, and tragedy converge. In conclusion, the Infinity Castle is more than just an arc. It is the beating heart of Demon Slayer's final act. Every corridor, every battle, and every sacrifice strips the story to its rawest truth. Akaza's fall reminds us that strength without compassion is hollow. Shinobi's sacrifice proves that every single life, given freely, can echo far beyond death. Zenitsu's triumph shadows that courage forged in fear can outshine betrayal. And together, these moments weave a tapestry of resilience that stands in direct defiance of Muzan's vision of a world ruled by demons. Cinematically, Ufotable has transformed this arc into an operatic descent into chaos, where visuals, sound, and silence unite to make each heartbeat feel like a drum of war. Yet beneath the spectacle lies something deeply human, the reminder that bonds, no matter how fragile, give life meaning.